Y'all, Design Space has updated. We are here to show you all the new functions, everything we love, everything we don't love so much, and everything that you need to know to get started today. If you're new here, my name is Alicia. I am a craft producer with the Makers Gonna Learn YouTube channel, and we would love for you to be a part of our crafting community. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and little bell so you're notified every single time that we post new crafty videos. So once you're in Design Space, you may have not updated your Design Space yet. So what you're gonna do is come to the top left corner where you see these three lines. We're gonna click that. We're gonna go to the settings menu and we're gonna go ahead and switch over to the beta version. So it'll say application experience. We're gonna select beta. It's gonna say changing settings may restart your application. Please save all work before continuing. Basically, it's telling you if you're mid-project and you're trying to update your Design Space, go ahead and save your project and then come back and repeat these steps. And then you're gonna select done. This is going to reinstall Cricut and give you the latest version of Design Space. Okay, now that it's updated, we are back to our canvas screen. It's just gonna automatically open up into this canvas screen. It's gonna look a little bit different, but let me just show you all what exactly is new with this beta version of Design Space. So everything you're really gonna need is over here in the layers panel, but what I'm gonna do is show you all of the functions and show you all of the features, and try not to confuse anybody in the process because it's really relatively simple. I'm just gonna take you step by step. That way you all know exactly all the tools that you're gonna be able to utilize in your future Design Space needs. I'm gonna go ahead and pull in just some basic images so you all can see exactly how these tools work. I'm gonna use a star and a circle and we'll change the colors so you all can really see the difference here. We'll just pick basic colors. Okay. And then there's 4 new tools. So I'm going to, okay, so we've got all of our shapes here. You can see them over here in the layers panel, but you're probably thinking the layers panel is looking a little bit different to me today. Well, we will get a little bit more into that as the video goes, but I want to go ahead and show you all these combined functions on the bottom. So right here, this is the ticket. This is all of the brand new features that Design Space updated. So let's go ahead and start by selecting 2 of our basic shapes. I've got a star and a circle here, and we're going to go down here to this combine menu. So the combine menu has other functions within the menu. We've still got our weld. This was here previously, but now we've got unite, subtract, intersect, and exclude. They each have different functions, very similar. I'm going to show you all the differences. So previously with weld, if I select weld, you're going to be able to see what happens here. So all of these are connected. So it basically makes a unified shape. I'm going to undo that. Now, if you welded and you went off of Design Space, you would not be able to undo that at all. The new feature, Unite, if you select it, it's going to give you the same effect as weld would, but you're going to be able to undo this at any moment in time. So if I went out of Design Space and came back in, I would be able to undo my Unite, which is crazy. This is the tool that everybody's been wanting. This is like the thing that everyone wants because you're going to be able to undo any work if you need to make changes. Another good thing about Unite is that the images are still here individually on their own layers. So if I wanted to move this star around, I can click star and I can actually rotate this. And then when I click off of it, it's still going to weld back together. I can move it to a different portion of the circle if I wanted to. And I can also click on it in the layers panel and resize it. And it's just going to go back to that perfectly united image. The next feature is subtract. So I'm going to select my images. I'm going to go to the combine menu and select subtract. Whenever we do this, it slices the top image out of the bottom image. The subtract function is very similar to the slice function, but let me show you all what's super cool about this. So the images are still on their separate layers over here, and what you're going to be able to do is move around your image. So I can take our star, and I can move it onto the circle, and it's going to slice out wherever I position it on that circle. That is cool, you all. I love that. The third function I want to talk about today is the intersect function. So with the intersect function, it's going to leave only the parts of the shape that overlap. So you can see that the circle disappeared, and then the star that was hanging off of the edge of the circle also disappeared, leaving just this shape. Now let's see what happens if we select the star in the layers panel underneath our intersect. You can see right here, when I moved it into the middle of the circle, it's going to cut off the edges of the star because they overlap. When we move it down here, it's going to cut off anything that's outside of that circle edge. The fourth function that Design Space added is the exclude function. So whenever you hit exclude, you're going to see that where the shapes overlap, it will slice out the portion that is overlapping. This is basically the opposite of the intersect tool, and you're going to be able to still come over here in the layers panel and move your shape around so you can get it to where you want it. Those are the 4 functions that Cricut added to Design Space. Now there's one more feature that I want to show you all, and what you're going to be able to do is merge your layers. So if you select any of these layers, I'm selecting the Unite layer, so we've got 2 sub layers underneath it. You can go down to the combine menu and you can merge the layers. Now this is not reversible. You can't undo it. There's not a whole lot of reason why you're going to need to merge your layers right now. My guess is that they've added this feature for future updates. I'm not 100% sure on that. But right now, it's not a super necessary tool, but it's going to be good to have in the future. Let me show you all some real-life examples of how you would use these tools in the day-to-day design process. Let's talk about a real-life example of using the Unite function. So whenever you type out your text in Design Space, a lot of times you're going to run into your letters wanting to slice out at each letter. So you can see on here, everywhere that there's a black line, we're going to have a slice from our Cricut. So where the Unite function comes in is you're going to be able to select your text. We're going to go to Combine and Unite, and you can see that everywhere that those black lines intersected is completely open now. So it looks like the Weld function, except the perk of using the Unite function is that it can be undone. If for some reason you needed to undo this, you can go back to the Combine menu and select Undo Unite, and you're going to get it right back to how you started. So the subtract function works very similar to the slice function. Whenever I select both images, I'm going to go to my combine menu, select subtract, and you can see that it's sliced out all of these little lightning bolts. Very similar to the slice function, except there's no layers. So normally when you slice, there's like 4 layers, 3 or 4 layers each time. This way, we don't have to do any of that. So it's going to save you a ton of time whenever you're designing a lot and you're very heavily into Design Space. This is just going to make your work a lot faster. The exclude function is a new function that I'm not necessarily going to be using a ton of, if I had to guess. I may get a little bit more familiar with these features and decide, oh, maybe I do use it more often than I think I will. But I just wanted to show you all a simple example of how you would use this. So I have a single layer SVG right here, and then I have a basic shape rectangle in purple and a basic shape in black. What I'm going to do is select the SVG and then one of the rectangles, go to combine and hit exclude. So you can see where the SVG overlapped on the black square, it actually removed that portion of the SVG and then left the other side over here. If we move the black square, you can see that this became a unit. So the two images that we selected to exclude from is now a unit, but you can still go over to your layers panel and move this around if you need to. And then when I click off of it, it's gonna just exclude it again. The fourth feature is the intersect feature. I've just got a rose SVG and a simple circle. I'm going to select both images, combine, and then we're going to intersect. So you can tell right here that the circle cut right on the edge of that rose. Now, if I pulled in another circle, just so you all can see better, I'm gonna pull in another one and put it behind our rose. I just want you all to see when you would actually use something like this. It would be perfect if you were making a circular decal or something like that. And you can see this just will line up perfectly on the edge of the circle. So there's a couple more functions I want to go over in the layers panel. The first one being that the group and ungroup button is now a singular function. So if I selected both of these, the Unite and the Lauren, I can go up here. I'm going to hover over this because before there was labels under each of these buttons. Now there's not. So it'll just say group and I can select group. If I want to ungroup them, I'm just going to hit that same exact button again. Another thing that you can do in the layers panel now is if I turn this into a group and I want to add something else in my layers panel to that group, I can select it, I can select anything, and I can pull it up here and add it to that group. So whenever I select this group in the layers panel, it's gonna select that random square as well as Lauren and Unite. But you're still gonna have the freedom to move around the individual layers within the group. The last feature I wanna talk about is the renaming layers feature. This is be super handy if you have a ton of layers in your design. You're going to be able to name them whatever you want by double clicking on the layer and renaming it whatever you want. So I'm going to title that Rose Cutout. You can also select the layer and hit Control click and rename it from there. I hope that going over all of these functions was super helpful for you all. I know it can be overwhelming whenever you're in Design Space and you're like, what are all these new tools? How do I use them? We really wanted to make a very simplified version for you all to come back to if you need help in the new updated Design Space. I do want to let you all know that this is still the beta version of Design Space, so there may be changes along the way. They may update things, but this is the most updated that we can possibly show you all right now. You're just going to want to make sure if they do go completely live and release the full version that you all are going back and actually switching back from the beta to the live version. If you all like today's tutorial, make sure to check out the Makers Gonna Learn YouTube channel. We have tons of videos on Design Space tutorials, as well as so much more. We love to give you all the best crafting education. We are here for you. If you need anything, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and we will see you all in the next one. Bye.